What's up, everybody? It's LG Doucette here. Today is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. Welcome to the First Minute, a podcast where I cover marketplace trends, big sales, and everything going on with NBA Top Shot. If you are new to Top Shot, then maybe you are being saved from some of the pain of the last couple days because the marketplace is in a serious dip. But it's okay. These are some good changes, or at least we hope. These are for good reasons. The cool down is to alleviate bots. It's all good. We're in this together, and we are doing our best on Twitter and across the entire First Mint network to get through this as a team and as a community, and we will get through it. Everybody just hang tough. If you got to sell a couple things because you're freaking out, that's totally okay. It doesn't mean you're not a good holder or a good collector. It's all good. Just keep in mind, keep the stuff that you really love. That's what we always say. And just keep in mind that there are definitely better days ahead on NBA Top Shot. Today's agenda is a very simple one. Not very much has happened this week other than the marketplace woes. If you want to learn more about the marketplace woes, listen to the last episode, because honestly, that's where I go through what has been happening, or at least what might be causing this to happen. On this episode, we're going to take a very quick look at supply of base moments in NBA Top Shot, as well as a little preview of what might come from here in Top Shot. And then you are going to hear my chat with the one and only, the one of one, Mr. WADES, another legend of the Top Shot community. Surprisingly, he and I have never really been on a podcast together, although we actually launched podcasts on the same day, which was less than 3 months ago, which feels like forever ago in Top Shot time. So most of the episode is actually going to be just my chat with WADES, where we discuss liquidity and why it's important to stay there, and also talk a little bit about him. I just want to remind everybody that none of the content here constitutes trading advice in any way, and that this show is not affiliated with NBA Top Shot, the NBA, or Dapper Labs. I'm just a guy at his house who loves basketball and blockchain in this community. This is the First Mint. So as of this morning, I have not heard of any news on the Top Shot front. No new packs, no new challenges, thank God, because there's already enough of those going on. Nada. Hopefully we get some more stuff this week. I know the community is very split as to some people don't want more supply. Others want to get some packs. I know a lot of people that listen out there have yet to actually get a pack in any stress test or any cool cats or any of that kind of stuff outside of pre-order. Of course, for those of you who haven't got anything yet, I do hope we get some packs soon. For those of you who feel like there's way too much out in the market already, you are not going to like what I'm about to tell you. Looking at the supply numbers, and this is taken from Greg Murray, the man who is part of the First Mint Network. He tweets some of the best stats out there. He put out a graphic the other day showing that out of the Series 2 base moments, there are 3.3 million moments that are owned by collectors. They're in accounts. There are 0.6 million that are in packs somewhere, as in they've been packaged up and they might be coming sometime soon, or they're still in packs that have been unopened by people who don't do that, who keep their packs closed. Maybe I have a few. And that there are 1.2 million moments minted that haven't moved. That means they've been made. You can see that data on CryptoSlam and Top Shot Explorer, but they haven't moved. They're still just sitting there, which means that those moments might actually be coming down the pipe very soon. Probably not all at once, but they might be coming soon. That's right, more base moments. If you've been following the minting process, then you know that there's tons of moments that we haven't even seen yet. There's a new LaMelo Ball base moment, one of 35,000. We haven't seen it. It hasn't come out, and that there's tons of supply yet to be released. So keep that in mind. I know the market is on a downturn. You might think we don't need more supply. I know, but there's lots more supply to come. And also, all this supply is still featuring plays that were very early in the NBA season. Most of them are from mid-February, if not before. So there are many, many more moments to come, even just from this NBA season, that haven't even been minted or probably designated yet. Another thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about supply, when you signed up for Top Shot, and I remember many people asking me about this in the last couple of months when they signed up, you probably noticed that on the Top Shot site, it used to say, it might still say this, that pack drops occur on Mondays and Thursdays, which is the ideal state that Top Shot wants to get to. They want to drop packs twice per per week. We haven't really seen that too much. We've seen a couple stress tests, but we haven't really seen that. But again, if you're thinking about what the future of Top Shot is, what to do with your collection, what the next couple months look like, if the market's going to go back up, keep in mind that regular infusion of supply is something that is supposed to regularly happen. As for what comes next, I'm not really sure. We have Cool Cats 3 that just came out, which, by the way, I have to say actually went down pretty smoothly. Not everybody got a pack. I didn't get one. Nobody at the first mint got one, but it went pretty smooth on Monday. There was no delay. Everybody who was in the right queue number for a pack, it seems like they got one. And also recently we've had a lot of All-Star Game stuff, right? We had 3 different sets, Rising Stars, Seeing Stars, and now 2021 All-Star Game Rare set all come out. So we're a little overdone, a little oversaturated on All-Star stuff, and we're going to have a lot of challenges. So what comes after that? And the honest answer is that I have no idea. Definitely base moments. We know that that's there, but there's nothing else that's been minted that hasn't been released. So what kind of rare, legendary, and other types of sets are we going to be seeing in the next 2 to 6 weeks? I don't know, but of course, the first mint will do our best to keep you guys posted on all that. Next up, you are going to hear my conversation with WADES. Now, WADES is one of the true NBA Top Shot OGs. He has a podcast on YouTube that he posts occasionally. If you follow him on Twitter, you might be able to sneak into his Discord. He posts some invites sometimes. He is full of knowledge. He's been here from the start. He's been through many cycles. He has a very good collection, and he's also very generous with his collection. He's on today to talk about the idea of liquidity, which is very important right now, as in how much cash you should have on hand at any given moment during your Top Shot adventure. Have a listen. Everybody, the moment has come. WADES and LG Doucette are on the same podcast at the same time. It is the WrestleMania of Top Shot podcast right here happening for all of you. Dude, we've been waiting to do this for far too long. It's really great to finally have you on the show.
Thank you, man. It's an honor to be here. You know, we were just talking off air. We go back obviously a long way, and when we started out, obviously you're at a completely different level, different purpose in the podcasting universe. Literally the 3 dropped on the same day. The first one's just you, myself, and the Burn. So it's an absolute honor to be talking to yourself in this capacity, and looking forward to it.
Since there are many people who maybe weren't even around on that day where, the trifecta of podcasts launched, and definitely a lot of people who weren't around before that, before we ever even had the idea for podcasts, let's rewind the clock all the way back to what feels like a million years ago, the middle of 2020. Tell us, WADES, I ask this to everybody, How did you discover Top Shot?
Yeah, look, I'll gladly take you through that journey, because it actually, if you don't mind, I'll take you through how I got into the NFT space. So that connects and leads on to obviously the NBA Top Shot. That started off going back at least a couple of years now from my best recollection. So as, sort of half-assed gamer, I played a bit of Apex, and when it comes to the skins and some of the stuff you can own and buy within the game that literally expires worthless almost as the season ends or whatever it is, I thought there just must be a better way around some of these things, collectibles. And I knew about the blockchain and the crypto kitties, and did a bit of research, and that led me onto into the NFT space. And that would have been well over 2 years now. And in particular, I ventured into a game called Gods Unchained, and another great game, one of the top games in this space that's been absolutely slaughtered by the Ethereum gas fees. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check that out. It's making some changes, and I kept an eye on the Dapper Labs email, because they came out with the beta invite email. And me being from a fan of the NBA for over 25 years now, that absolutely piqued my interest. I thought, this is, aside from it being a moment, and what we now know as a moment, I thought, well, that's a bit weird with, sort of buying videos. But I didn't really think too much of it at the time. I just thought if you can align yourself with one of the best brands in the entire universe, you're doing something right, especially one that I love and watch every day. So when that came around, I jumped into the Discord, which at that time was just, I believe, one channel, general channel. And I met Katie and a couple other people from Dapper Labs. We exchanged a few messages. I talked about my experience and what I could bring to the table, being from the finance world, trading and so forth. Having played Gods on Chain for about 6 months religiously, to play to earn economy and some of those aspects that we can bring to NBA Top Shot. So I did get an invite, maybe a couple of days or a week later, to join what we termed as the Alpha team, which is about 70 people, from early June 2020. When that went for about maybe a month or so, then we became closed beta, and then we started bringing on, or Dapper started bringing on more members from the general Discord into this fan panel that still remains active to this day.
When did you start to actually buy stuff, and like what were some of your first big purchases, and did they feel like big purchases at the time?
So my initial investment into the entire ecosystem is about $2,700. So I took about 7 or 8 ETH from Gods Unchained. I didn't, just sold a couple things there. So at that time, obviously ETH price was a lot less than it is now.
That's what I was going to say. I was just like, a caveat that $2,700 of 8 or 9 ETH, like that was normal.
Yeah, well, obviously this goes back, I think it was like 180 or something. But it totaled to about 2,500, and then through the season, maybe about a month into it, the team started retiring players. So all the players until then were CCs. So something started happening. I go, shit, this is capped. This LeBron moment's capped at 1,000. I go, okay, that's a bit weird. So jumped on it, bought a couple of things, used my credit card to buy some of those, and that was the last time I used it. And so that's my that's what I invested into the space. In terms of the biggest moments that I've purchased, that's probably come recently. But at the start of it, it was really all about testing the infrastructure. So buying the packs, Cosmic packs were $230, the legendaries, which came with 1 Cosmic, maybe 3 Season 1 Metallic Gold MGLEs. Not Meagles. Please don't use the word Meagles when you describe MGLEs.
Who says that? Who says Meagles?
One very famous person.
I've never heard
very
that.
Lovely.
I have.
Is it Steph? Not Steph. Her sister. She says Meagles. Very cute.
Oh, Jen says Meagles?
Jen
really?
says,
I've never realized that. Oh my god.
Yeah,
what do you call them metallic? Do you ever say MGLE?
Yeah, I use MGLE.
Okay, yeah, the metallic or MGLE is fine. Meagles. Wow, oh my god, it's like something out of Harry Potter. I've never heard that.
Sorry, ladies. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's fine. Hey, they're getting some play on the podcast here. Go check them out. Pseudo Sisters, some great videos about Top Shot. Definitely worth listening to it and checking out the Meagles chat. Anyway,
go Meagles.
Continue on with your Meagles story.
So yeah, and then so 3 Meagles and 6 base moments. But obviously, guys, that now those things are worth an absolute fortune. So our job was just to buy stuff, test it out. So guys like, Whale Shark, Pranksy, they bought Nate Alex, Carlini, all those guys just bought loads of stuff. I could only afford 2 packs at the time. That was my spread of, what I wanted to spend on. So I thought I'd buy 2. One I got, the first one was Buddy Hield and Before, which recently sold for maybe a couple of months back for like $7,000. And the other one was a big one. So I hit LeBron Cosmic number 31, I think. And shortly after, one of my buddies, who became a buddy, Greek Freak, he reached out to me because I put it on the market. I wanted to set the record. I wanted to basically price those at a certain point just to set the record that this is the moment to own type of thing. Well, not LeBron, but the Cosmics. So we exchanged hands on 12 ETH. One of his buddies bought it. He brokered it. And the reason I did that, because most sounds counterintuitive, but the reason I did that was just basically to have enough ETH to be able to buy back into the packs. You
say you're a big NBA fan.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define that? And what do you mean you're a big NBA fan?
Okay. So in Australia, where I currently reside, have for the last close to 30 years, we coverage has been fairly scarce until recently, where you can get your NBA TV subscriptions and all that. But before that, you can never catch anything. So I used to subscribe to a service called Pontel, basically DVDs. So they used to send you out 2 DVDs a week, and you'd basically, you'd have to stay away from every media possible just to see the box scores, because those games would be delayed by at least maybe a week. So I did that for a long time, paid through the nose for that service. So that's one way I suppose I can prove my fandom. And the other way is up until maybe months ago, I used to watch maybe 2 or 3 games a day just on the other monitor while working or whatever it is. So watched all the Miami Heat games for God knows decades now, and recently started watching obviously Luka, Nurk from Portland. So that's where I was born, in the former Yugoslavia. So that's my origin. That's why I followed some of those guys. Just really heavy into it. More obviously, I've never been to an NBA game because I haven't been to the States yet. But that's how I prove my fandom, Luke. I suppose.
That's all good. If you had your choice of any game to go to in any city between any 2 teams, what would you go see? And assuming all players are healthy, of course.
What you mean? If I can go back in time or future games?
Future games, yeah. Let's say it's next year, and you're going to go to the U.S. and go see any game you want between any 2 teams you want. What would you choose?
Well, Miami has to be part of it because that's the team I follow religiously. So it'd be them against the Lakers, just because it's LeBron, and you don't know how long he's going to be around for at the Madison Square Garden, or even the LA, the Forum, or wherever they're playing it these days.
Last personal question before we actually talk about liquidity.
Yeah.
Why WADES?
What do you think? I'll put you in the spot. So
why do I think you chose WADES as a name?
Miami Heat fan.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Dwayne Wade.
I didn't connect the dots.
So I when I started following the Miami Heat, I was actually a Charlotte fan, massive Alonzo Mourning fan. So he got traded to Miami, and I followed them. He retired, and I thought my life was going to end basically, and then along came Dwayne Wade, saving grace and so forth. So absolutely fell in love with his style of play and everything he stands for. And it was funny enough that when he sort of moved on, Jimmy Butler came on board, and he's a bit of, and I follow him a little bit just because I like his style of play too. He's a bit of Alonzo Mourning and mixed with Dwayne Wade, so pretty good combo.
Let's get into the actual topic. We brought you on to chat about obviously a lot of action. A lot of stuff happening around the market these days, right? A big dip. Everybody's talking about it, and this is a topic that a few people have told me that you feel quite strongly about, and that you're quite the expert in. And it's also something that I've preached to people as well, which is the idea of liquidity in Top Shot, and obviously it applies to a lot of other markets, anything else that you trade, but specifically in Top Shot, the idea of staying liquid and what that means. Give me a sense on your end of, let's kick it off with just stay on the personal side.
Yeah.
How liquid do you stay in Top Shot? How do you do that? And how much are we talking? What percentage of your portfolio are you kind of hoarding in cash to be ready for opportunities?
Okay, so again, all these questions are very hard to answer because it's just it varies depending on what the market's looking like. So before, just to correct you on something, there's no experts in this field. Like, we're all making it up to various degrees. So I'm absolutely making it up, just using my own experience. So from different things that I've learned. This thing's so young. It's just that's my opinion. I'm not an expert, so take this with a grain of salt. That liquidity number varies. It varies for different people. If you've got a $1,000 portfolio on Evaluate or whatever you use to value your portfolio, 10% is $100. So that might not be enough to achieve what the goal of whatever your goal is. For me, it's probably a little bit easier because it's a small percentage of my portfolio value, so I don't have to sell a lot to have liquidity. I was talking to one of the guys the other night, just in my Discord. There's about 10 or 15 of us there, and his portfolio. He's one of I think he's in the top 10 or 15. He was a guest in your show. One of my good friends. He's like my Top Shot wife type of thing. Kai. And for him,
wow,
we all need one of those. So, for him, for example, he has to sell one moment that's, if he finds the right buyer, we're talking about a couple $100,000. So I've only got a couple of those because I went into more the base set. So for me, it's harder to achieve liquidity because I've just got to sell a lot of crap to get to even like 10, 15, 20 grand. But for me, at a time like this, if you're not prepared by now, you're probably doing yourself a disservice trying to get liquid now because everything's so much, has come down quite a bit. So it's important to plan ahead, have some sort of a goal and like a bit of a trading plan, or if you're a collector, just have a goal where you want to get to. Otherwise, you're literally just flying in the dark. To be honest with you, you're just clicking aimlessly at the marketplace, going, "Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to buy that." Next thing you find out, you own 128 John Wall, season 2, first place. So.
Good reference. There.
Viva la resistance.
No, but let's bring it back though. How do you, whether the, maybe now it's too late to get liquid, but let's say it's not, or even let's say, we see turnaround in the market.
I do have a good example of that. So for me, I do have some of those middle of the road moments, which, maybe like a LeBron. So LeBron moves in any market. Liquidity, price is a function of liquidity, the other way around. But what I'm trying to say is you can get liquidity in a moment. You just have to, reduce the price. With a LeBron moment, you don't have to really reduce the price that much for someone to buy it. So in my case, I sold, not that I really wanted to, but I sold, I think there's like the semi-finals moment, number 132, or one of them anyway. It's on record somewhere there for about 19, 20 grand, not like long, maybe a week ago. So I just got a little bit sick of trying to sell the low end stuff just to actually have some dapper available. So I sold some of the bigger moments, and that was my decision that I have to live with. And I didn't have to reduce the price by much. So that was why what I sold, and the reason why I did it was just to have flexibility. So if the market kept going down, I could pick up some stuff. I could let average down as well. So we could talk about some of the benefits of being liquid as well. But that's what I did to get about $20,000 of liquidity. So that was basically the sum of all parts of my liquid dapper. So, across the portfolio that I have, it's not a lot, but it at least sort of, help me get through some of these bear market times.
Would you say that is one of the hardest decisions you've had to make in terms of selling a moment?
No, I'm not married to any of them. Not at all, because this is not something you can feed your family with type of. I mean, you can't eat a moment. So that's the other thing I've got to look at as well. It'd be financially irresponsible for me to leave $6 million or $5 million, whatever it is worth now, in moments. So it comes back to that plan. I've got a plan to liquidate a very small portion of my portfolio, about 10%. To be able to meet some real world, goals. So no, I'm not married to any of them. Literally, like I've got some decent moments that will be auctioned off at some point in time. One is going to Golden shortly. This is an exclusive. It's going to Golden. I think one of their big ones in April. It's the James Harden Hollow #1. So that's going. That's gone already. It's in the account. So yeah, look. I mean, you've got to have a plan, and that's part of my plan. So yeah, it does hurt. That one probably hurt a little bit because I don't think it'll go for what it's worth. You've just got to do what you got to do. Sometimes, I'm not gonna go poor selling a moment for 100 grand or whatever it ends up selling for. And if this thing, goes backwards further, then I'm probably going to use that money to then reinvest into this. So I've got a couple of things that I've done to stay liquid. So aside from just Dapper, I have sent some moments to some of the auction houses, which will be auctioned off sometime in April.
And that's an exclusive that you're sharing with the First Mint?
Oh, that is an exclusive, yeah. I don't think I mentioned it to anyone else, other than my Discord and about 5 people that are in there. So.
The news is out, folks. You heard it here first. If you pay attention to golden auctions, then keep an eye out for that James Harden. Has there been a time where you have felt like you are not liquid enough?
Yeah, all the time. Even now, like who wouldn't want to be? So So I'll tell you what I've bought if that sort of gives you guys anything, inspiration or whatever you want to take out of it. But
What you've bought recently?
yes.
Oh yeah, please tell us. Yeah, I'm
So
sure
that's sold
everyone
for
wants to hear
20, and I'd love to have 100,000 just to be able to buy some of this stuff. So what I've purchased, and thanks to some of the people around the traps in my Discord, they pointed me to what I think is a reasonable deal. Was a number one Christian Wood. So this one's to 15,000, limited edition version. So that was number one mint, and I think I paid 3,300 for that. So I thought that's a good long term buy. So I do want to do the All Star set, so I've picked up a few of those, and I've got to finish that off. My reasoning there is, yes, everyone's talking about all these moments coming out and packs and all this sort of stuff. I don't really assess anything on tomorrow. It's in this space, long term is like 3 months, but longer term, you got to take that approach. Otherwise, you're just going to go crazy. So with that set, LeBron makes up about 56% of the actual value of the set. And I figured, there's not going to be a lot of people that will complete this, and numbers point to maybe about 200 that will get the Giannis reward. So even if those moments come back, and then some, LeBron will hold his value. He'll go up after this over time, and Giannis will be up to 200, which should carry some reasonable value as well in the aftermarket or the marketplace. So that was the reason why I did that. And then I've just started literally just buying the LeBron to 35,000 moments. A couple of Lucas in there. But I've purchased maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 10 LeBron to 35,000. So just literally buying the floor or near the floor moments. And again, like you would, and I've only purchased maybe 3 or 4 a day if it keeps coming down. So one of my points there that was the advantage of being liquid is you've got the flexibility, and in this case, my flexibility, I can dollar cost average. My John Wall that I've been high on, and I'm a reasonable John Wall fan, like a lot of you guys are, but not to the point where I'm spending all this money. I it's more from the rarity point of view, because that's essentially his rookie card or first moment. So I've used some of this to and would use to average down on the cost base of those, because I've paid up to about 150 for some of those, and they're I think it's $60 yesterday. So so that gives you that flexibility to be able to pull some of those moves off, and something not a lot of people talk about, but you see all these people freaking out, and it's that mental state of mind that I think comes with that fear and greed. So if you've got a little bit of money sitting around, you're flexible, it sort of makes you feel you're achieving something as well. In my case, it's not going to be much, even if this goes 2 or 3x. It's a reasonable amount of money, but it just gives you some sense of control, and you've got, you've made something of it, versus if you didn't have that liquidity and you're just sitting there going, this is coming down, it's coming down, I've got no control over anything. So yeah, look, you've got to just look at some of those things as well, which play to some of your buying habits as well.
If you feel like things are about to go up, how liquid should you stay? Because that's something I've struggled with in the past, and now having been long enough, it's like I feel like I've got a pretty good handle when things are about to pop off.
Yep.
And my big struggle is, well, I should always have some cash on hand, but when I know things are going up and I know they're about to continue going up, the natural inclination is to literally buy as many LeBrons as I can, and then sell them, or at least sell a few if I want to get liquid again. Yep. But then that also proves hard to do when things are going up. You don't want to sell things too early. How do you manage that?
Again, I did a video, and I'm sorry to pump this on your show, but I think it's worthwhile people just listening, just more to be able to just help them work through some of these, whatever you want to call it, the bear market, some of the issues, some of the things they might be feeling, they're a bit out of control. So it's that fear and greed, right? So you need to have some sort of a plan. Otherwise, you are literally just going to get lost in the weeds. There's so much happening, and no one really knows what they're doing. In terms of, well, I'll leave it at that. On the way up, in my opinion, you've got to liquidate some of the stuff. So whether you choose to liquidate the LeBrons you've bought and you've made 2-3x on, I'm not talking to you, Luke, I'm just saying general. Don't be greedy, because those things will come down. So if you look at the last little pop that we had, where we went from like 0 to 100 in the space of a day, that stuff is not sustainable. Like if you look at any market in any history of the world, those parabolic rises do come back, up to 50% at times and maybe even more. So it just depends how volatile the market is. So you've just got to have some sort of game plan where dollar cost average on the way up and down. So you just sell some of the stuff that you're happy with. And if you're not happy to sell LeBrons, in my case, I can always look at maybe some of the more larger moments. And this takes a little bit of research now, and it's not a small amount of time you've got to put into this, but there are tools out there that can help you. You've got to look at the moments that maybe are a little bit more heavier, more expensive, that you own, that haven't pulled back enough, or if it's a downturn, that haven't gone back, like the one I sold, hadn't really pulled back too much, and I'd got the timing right. I sold that, which then allowed me to buy some of these. So the same thing, if you don't want to sell the LeBrons on the way up, you might maybe find something that's gone through the roof or whatever it is, that it just might be way, way, way overheated in comparison to some of the LeBrons you bought. So that takes a little bit more research, but without some sort of a game plan, some sort of a goal, you're really just throwing whatever out there. Like,
it's pretty aimless. It's pretty aimless at that
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah. Any trader will tell you need a trading plan to succeed. And most traders, they'll when they trade, and in every 1 out of 10 trades, they'll lose on 7 of them, but they're still very profitable because on the 3 that they make, there is a game plan behind that. They'll let the profits run, and they'll use stop losses, all that sort of stuff. So if you guys look at some stuff like that, trading plans, some of that information is very relevant to here. So
if you then on that game plan aspect, what are maybe 2 or 3 pieces of advice for building that from scratch? And let's say people feel like maybe they've made some very irresponsible, unplanned decisions so far.
Yep.
Not talking about myself. I find it hard to resist temptation, let's say, right? So if I'm building my, personal spreadsheet or something like that, and I need to start from scratch, and now we're at the hopefully the down part of the cycle, and we might kick up again. Yep. What are the 3 kind of things I should keep in mind to build that plan and to stick to it? Let's say I've got 40 moments. I've put in maybe $2,000, and my account value is about $2,000. I'm about even right now. I bought before the rise, and I bought at the top as well, and I've got some stuff I like. Let's say about 50 to 60% of stuff that I'd really like to hold long term, and the rest stuff that I'm not too sure about, I'd be okay to liquidate. What's my game plan starting right now?
So what's your goal to begin with? So is it just to build up the capital?
Build the greatest collection that I can.
They've existed. Okay. How much time?
One that you would respect, and you'd say that's a great collection.
How much time have you got to dedicate to this?
Let's pretend I work 9 to 5. Let's say I work 9 to 5, and
so you got a little bit of time to spend on this. And look, the reason I asked that is because in that instance, you really got to grind it out. You've got to, in my opinion, you've got to just flip stuff if that's possible. Obviously, not everyone's good at that. I'm probably not that good at that either, just because I don't have enough time to dedicate to any of that. I hold stuff long enough, and I buy stuff long enough, like LeBron. They'll probably prove me correct over time. But if you've got it long enough at that value, you probably need to flip some stuff quite frequently to build up some capital to then reinvest into things that will hold more long-term value. The museum pieces, I refer to them as, like season 1 stuff, first place. So the more the rarity aspects that you can put into your acquisitions, the more you become insured against whatever's going to come up tomorrow or next month. So in that instance, man, I honestly think it's more of a trading plan that's going to be implemented just to be able to build up enough capital. So you've just got to look at what's on your whatever moments you've got left that aren't maybe long-term hold, like season 1, first player type of stuff, and flip it around. These days, there's people picking off various things on the market that are just 15-20% undervalued. But for me, I couldn't care less for a certain moment that's season 2 that's not going to be badged or whatever it is. So I'm happy to let that go for $17 and the floor now is $19. Some people might be pissed at listening to that, but that's my trading plan. I'm trying to sell 5 of those so I can buy a LeBron moment. So because I need to save some time in trying to trade this stuff as well. And so everyone's different. But in that instance, man, I think it's a trading plan and try to flip some stuff, build some capital, and reinvest into things that, you know, are, again, liquid, but will have some more oomph to come, which is some of the badges and some of those things too.
Okay, now it's time for a part of the show that I call Would You Rather.
Yes.
And if you listen to the podcast, then you know how these usually go, where I give you two options and you tell me which one you would rather. Okay?
For sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Would you rather the LeBron #1 Cosmic or 5 randomly selected LeBron Hollows, all Series 1?
Hollows.
Would you rather the #1 mint of every Australian player?
No.
Or the #1... Well, I'm not even done. Or the #1 mint of every Canadian player.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I'll take it back.
Hey, come on. You got RJ Barrett, Steve Nash,
True.
Jamal Murray. There's some good stuff.
True.
Come on.
That's
Give us a
true.
break.
Apologies. Yeah, definitely Canadian. Australians are pretty trash. No offense. It's just, you know, they're good players. Obviously, they're NBA players. But in comparison, like, you look at the values, like you said, RJ Barrett's going to be massive. His season 1 moment is going to be huge. So,
I need to test your. I mean, you're not even born there, so it's. I don't know where your loyalties lie, but
my loyalties lie to Australia.
So okay.
That's who holds my citizenship and all that stuff.
There you go. Okay, last one is the third one.
Yeah.
Would you rather 200 grand liquid cash in a briefcase delivered by Roham, or the moment, and it doesn't exist yet, and we don't know if it'll exist, but it would be a #1 run it back from the 2008-2009 season of Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. As much as I love Dear Leader, 200 grand. You know, you got to keep it in perspective too. Like, Dwayne Wade all the way.
Hey, it's cash. It's cash withdrawn, and it's you know, it's not
point.
Dapper Bucks. It's real money.
It's real money. Hey, Dapper Bucks are real too. So apparently,
Man, that's great.
But no, look, that'll be pretty cool. But I'm hoping, you know, when travel restrictions lift, I can come visit the mothership and you and some other people in Canada.
Whatever you want to call it, man. You know, we all know that Australia's true capital is Whistler, BC, and that you know you're really just—it's going to be a homecoming of sorts for you to do that.
That's it.
That is going to bring us to the end of this episode, folks. Usually we do another episode at the end of the week. We do a live stream on Fridays. We are actually not going to do that this week. I know it's sad. We've got a few other things that we're focusing on that we're hoping to announce very soon. So keep an eye out for that. We will be posting it on Twitter. No promises when that's going to be, but know that we're very excited about it. Again, a big thank you to WADES for coming on the show. It was great to have him, and we'll have to have him back. Otherwise, give us a follow at The First Mint on Twitter. Find us there and find us on YouTube. If you hit us up on Twitter, we do our best to answer as quickly as possible. It usually might take a couple days because there is a lot going on right now. Otherwise, best of luck through the rest of the week, and we'll see you next time on The First Mint.